$600 pension 10, 15 years ago won't buy much of anything here today.
And why the millennial generation is starting to give up because they can't afford to get a good job or own a house.
8 million Venezuelans voting for this assembly, saying it's actually less than 3.
It is. And people are going to start rioting in the streets.
Was reported to have asked Putin for military support that would help him stay in power.
We will make America safe again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
And they ignore him. And 8 more years goes by till Bernie himself finally admits to his sons, hey, I've been running a Ponzi scheme.
Does its dominance mean it can use the alliance for its own ends?
Since 1981, bond yields, also known as coupon rates, have just gone down and down and down.
Federal Reserve note will be your biggest financial liability. We're live. RTD Live Talk. It is Thursday night, the 24th day of the month of October. We are live and getting somewhat of a late start because I had to pull everything together, do my little visual aid, which you guys see from the thumbnail. And the reason this caught my attention about the uninversion of the yield curve is that I watched a video from Alessio, the day trader, and he brought this to my attention. And then now I'm starting to see more articles from the Duke professor that is responsible for putting together the 10 to 3 year or 10 to 3 month analysis of the recessionary figures. And so he says that we're not out of the clear just yet. And so I think the spark has been officially lit, and now we're literally months away from it being officially a recessionary environment that the Fed can't deny. So I assume a lot of the activity they're doing now is because of that. So, but before I get any further, I want to just welcome everybody to the live stream. My name is Mike, the host of RTD Live Talk, Detroit's #1 late night YouTube talk show. And tonight we're talking a yield curve inversion or uninversion and the problems that have. So, as always, I got a couple other articles that I got in front of me and might not be able to get to them because you know how I do. But with that being the case, anybody new to the channel, let me know where you're watching from in the chat. I'd love to acknowledge your presence. Thank you for joining us. Number 313-462-0027. Give me a call and let me know what's in your mind. Would love to find out what else is going on out there because a lot of things are going down. And then also, the videos I did before, let me know your thoughts on that because I'm curious to find out your thoughts on the interview as well as the video I did today based upon President Trump's tweet, which definitely is not very exciting if you are a person that still believes in the financial system the way it's been presented to us. So let me pull up this here. So we got Spirit King in the building. We got Scott Robinson, low blood pressure. We got Excalibur. We got James. We got Kenneth. We got James. We got Rotimi. We got Rumpel. Spirit King says, Mike, quick thought. On 21 November, Trump might just shut down the government to try not to get impeached. That will create chaos on the markets for sure. Spirit King, great analysis there. Great thought there. So definitely something that, you know, who knows? I mean, we're at the point now where because of this whole impeachment process and this fiasco that's taking place in D.C., I wouldn't put anything past President Trump at this moment because the last thing he wants, and I'm sure you can agree with this, is to not get a chance to finish off his term, nevertheless not have a chance at a second term because he seems bent on making sure that he gets 2 terms no matter what because he's very confident that if he doesn't get a second term, the economy won't last without him. So I wonder exactly how would his impeachment really bring down the markets according to the way he believes it would happen. So, but we'll get into that. Dan says, do you study scriptures from the Holy Bible King James versions? Dan, I do. And so the King James version, been a little bit of the old English style text. I tend to use the NIV or the Amplified or the New King James version just to make it a little bit more understandable. But I go back and forth between different versions just to get a different flavor, a different taste. But yes, I do. Good question. I like that one. Says JB says, cheers, Mike. We got Thang at Pets. Says, how goes it room? How you doing, Anthony? Yo, James, thumbs up. Appreciate that. Spirit King says individual 1 is going to prison when he's not longer POTUS. Spirit, okay. So assuming that, it's just say, for example, the president is impeached. I'm trying to figure out, somebody let me know, because I don't follow the impeachment inquiries as much as probably other people do. Just because, you know, whether he gets impeached or whether he doesn't, it doesn't matter. You know, I follow the monetary aspects of it, and no matter what, it doesn't, you know, turn out well for our economy. But going to jail, like, okay, so what exactly did he do that's jail worthy? I'm not sure. Somebody let me know, because as I mentioned, I don't follow as much as most people probably do, but I'm trying to figure out where did he do something that deserves jail time. So definitely curious to find out. Rumpel says Boeing and Caterpillar just missed earnings by over 20%. This recession is already on like Donkey Kong. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it at all. So actually, I want to share with you the very title of this, the uninverted yield curve is the spark. And so I got this idea from a day trader who was trying to let people know that, hey, just because a yield curve is no longer inverted, meaning the spread between a 10 year and a three-month treasury is no longer inverted, doesn't mean we're out of trouble. So the very founder of that analysis of recessionary talks on the yield curve is in the news. And so I thought I would just check it out, because it's definitely something that people, apart from, you know, an alternative media, you may not really get a chance to find out more about it. But it says here, this is from Markets Business Insider as of today. It says the market's favorite recession indicator has stopped flashing red, but the Duke professor who created it told us everyone should still be prepared for the worst. And so this is the gentleman here, Cam Harvey, out of Duke, business professor. And so give you a little highlights of this article here. It's kind of lengthy, but I'll jump through it. It says Campbell Harvey, the Duke University professor who uncovered the inverted yield curve as a recession indicator, says his model could someday give a false positive signal. Right. It's something that top of the mind right now, as the curve has uninverted in recent weeks. But Campbell argues his model isn't broken or flashing a false signal, because the same conditions from prior economic downturns are also present now. I'm going to get into those other conditions that are always good trends to really look at. And then we'll zoom in tonight and see, is there any way we can kind of get a feel for the actual months that the gray bar shows up. Of course, the gray bar is given to us 6 to 12 months after the fact, but let's get this caller. Let me try to give me a call again. Let me try to do something on my end. I apologize. Let me log out of this one here so it doesn't ring twice. So give me a call back, and it should be good to go to get you on here. All right. So let me, in the meantime, jump right into the nitty gritty is what I want to get to. And so this is the 10-year Treasury constant maturity minus the 3-month Treasury constant maturity. And so basically the issuance of debt instruments and the time period for where they're due. Let's see if we get a call. So we do have a call. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
How you doing? My name is Steven. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, Steven. What's on your mind tonight, my friend?
Hey, listen, you know what I really think, and I'm going to be brief. I think there's a 30-second delay. So when I called the first time, there was like a 30-second delay. I got dropped, and then I heard you say when you streamed the call again. But here's what I want to say. I am in the crypto space.
Okay.
I'm in the financial space. I really appreciate everything you discuss here. But from everything I can see and everything I pay attention to, this is a planned implosion of the global economic system. And the mass majority of people are not in tune, especially in the United States. They're not in tune with anything that is taking place around the world, with these mass protests in Chile and Venezuela and Lebanon and all these other places that all this stuff that's not being reported on mainstream media here in the United States.
Right.
Now, keep in mind, I am not a Republican or Democrat.
Okay.
But if I had to choose between the two, Democrats are worse. Now, some of these conservative people who are so pro-Trump, that I listen to, and I've literally unplugged from them because I'm like, Trump can do no wrong.
Yeah.
But I will say this: it's not like he's not doing something right. He's exposing some stuff.
Yeah.
But he's got some bad issues going on himself.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So we need to be fair and reasonable. And I'm just telling you that from what I am seeing, I think there's a lot of shenanigans going on.
Mm-hmm.
I think the price of silver is probably going to go sky high because a lot of people can't afford gold.
Right.
And I think that when I look at the crypto, specifically Bitcoin, the thing that bothers me is that it takes a lot of electricity. If we had an electromagnetic pulse, how would that affect it?
Mm-hmm.
The other question I have is, if we just can't have access to the internet, then what?
Right.
So,
all
I've had to rethink a lot of things, man.
Yeah. Hey, you're not the only one, and so I'm not sure if you're familiar. I've done some confessions of a Bitcoin skeptic videos last couple weeks, trying to address some of those same things and even adding a couple more on top of that. And so it's all things that we have to really consider. And as of now, definitely, I believe everything is planned and strategized down to the T somewhat. I think they are kind of losing control of things, what it appears to be. But yet the cryptocurrency is a backdoor out of this system that I'm sure that they're more than willing and wanting to take advantage of themselves. And I really believe that it wasn't necessarily designed for the public, the citizens themselves, to benefit the most. And so I believe with all this institutional adoption stuff that's underway, they're also planning on being able to transfer all that old institutional money right through into that crypto space in hopes of not losing much and hopefully trying to pick up off back where they left off at. But if they control the most coins at the end of the day, they still will control the system. Is what was one thing I want to be getting at pretty soon, because all this manipulation about President Trump, like 2017, he's the reason why they dumped the markets or whatever. That's a signal right there that they're in it heavily now. So we're gonna deal with manipulation for many years to come. Now it's a matter of how much trust are you willing to put into digits in that form, knowing that they're going to go up, as opposed to metals as well. So. It's more so pick your poison. What do you prefer to ride out this wave with, and what do you think is going to be worth your while on the other side of this, amongst all types of other stuff as well?
May I ask you one more question?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
See, something that I really appreciate about you is when I heard you mention your relationship with God, the Lord, because I really strongly believe that you can prepare and you can, you got 10 wise versions, 10 foolish versions. You can prepare all you want, and I have done that. However, there are people that I love.
Yeah.
That I try to talk to.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
They want to tune into housewives and TV. They want to tune out when they get off of work.
Yeah.
How do you address the people that you love so much and care about? What is your? I want to. If you could create a video, if you don't want to talk about it now, talk to me about how do you reach the people you love the most who really don't want to hear that. You can only give them little bits and pieces at a time, because if you give them a spoonful, it's too much.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't mind touching on that.
I ain't going to take up all your time, man, but I do appreciate you very much.
I appreciate you calling and appreciate you sharing those thoughts, my friend. Definitely. I'll get more to that because I'm in the midst of right now trying to, educate my family even at a greater level, because I'm going to hang up right now, but I'm going to get into some more thoughts real quick. But I appreciate you calling.
Yes, sir.
All
I
right.
appreciate you. Thank you.
Great call. I appreciate that. And so, yeah, that's a great question, and I'm going to just share my thoughts with that briefly. But you really can't convince people to open up their eyes to things that it's just not their time, more than likely. So with that being the case, apart from just continue to practice what I preach personally, everyone knows whenever Mike comes around, Mike is on that, money stuff. He's talking about gold, silver. He talks about all that type of stuff. And it's one of the things that until they see it, they won't believe it. And so I try to show them by sharing Chileno videos of people down there looting and rioting, sharing pension videos about how people losing their pensions. I got an article right here that I was going to touch on tomorrow, but I shared it in my family's group chat, and it talks about how millennials, If you can't tell me, this is something that you guys really should really make you rethink a lot of things. It says to retire at 65, millennials will need to save nearly half of their paycheck. So basically, if you're under 40 right now, they're saying, this is a PhD professor saying that you're going to need to save almost half your paycheck starting now if you plan on retiring at 65 or whatever, like the current baby boomers are. So when I see stuff like this, it's like, where do you draw the line? You know, first they say $1 million is all you need. Then they say according to your living standards. Now they say you got to put 40% of your income away. So it's one big hoax. So when I show people stuff like this, I'm like, dude, like, this is what you're basing your future on, guesses. And I'm like, okay, if you choose to, can't help you out. But other than that, you know, more power to you. But I'm past the point of taking things personal as if like they're rejecting me. It's not that at all. And I compare it similar to just, you know, preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. Like, you're going to be rejected. You know, it's up to the Lord to turn hearts and to position the message accordingly to the people he wants to reach and in his timing. So I know they're not rejecting me. It's just not their time. But I'll still do what I do and live my life and try to help out as best I can through information such as this. So my family watches. They know what's going on. So I keep it moving. But that's just my little 2 cents on that. So appreciate the call. Appreciate the thought. It goes a lot deeper than that. But ultimately, what it boils down to, and this is where I'm heading eventually. So this is why I've been consciously, you know, sharing more of my spiritual side, because I believe God is putting things on my heart. And gold and silver, Bitcoin, all that stuff, it's all good. And it's practical preparation on a financial sense. But gold and silver, Bitcoin ain't going to save you. It's not going to do much more than what it's capable of doing right now at this current point. Reason being, two things. One, as all this unfolds, if it is bad as we think it's going to be, there's going to be complete chaos and upheaval like we haven't seen before. And when things settle down, most people are assuming that they're going to be millionaires, billionaires on the other side. They're assuming that value and wealth transfer is going to be just easily extractable out of that new system into whatever, where you're going to be able to get you a bigger house, more cars. I don't really see it being such a smooth transition of people who were prepared, going through chaos, and then coming out shining on the other end. I don't think the government's going to allow that. So that's one thing. But along with that, if you're broke now and you got money then, that still doesn't really amplify who you are at your core. So who you are today, you're going to be more of that on the other side, probably on a more stressed out level. But it has to be a lot more to all this than just talking about the financial preparation. And so that's why spiritual preparation to me is far more important, because spiritual knowledge and spiritual wisdom is what will get people through, if you're a believer, of course, but it goes a lot deeper. And so I've really been studying the book of Proverbs heavily, because that's right there it's God's knowledge. It's wisdom right there. And wisdom is what has the power to change your life. Because there's a lot of things I'm sure we can all say now, man, if I would have known that 10, 15 years ago, man, I would be, you know what I'm saying? Like, you lack wisdom, you lack knowledge. So get knowledge, and with getting knowledge, get understanding, and the word promises that you're going to be blessed. So, yeah, okay, I apologize. I'm going off on a rant. So, yeah, that's what happens when I get fired up, man. I apologize for that. Anyway, yeah, keep it moving. What else you got going on out here? Oh, my goodness. What else we got here? Most people are going to get bent over. Question, won't the Fed just keep printing to keep the system afloat? They will print to keep the nominal value of assets constant. Purchase power will be declined through stagflation. Yes, very good point there. And so let me get right to the nitty gritty, man. I'm up all off course. All right, so here is the 10-year Treasury constant maturity minus 3-month spread. So this is the woo. And as you see, this is a gray bar. This is a gray bar. It's not as gray because of the screen, but as you can see here, over last year, almost a year now, 9 months, definitely, the yield curve first inverted at the end of last year. So it's been whatever, a little rocky. And so as you guys can see, as of March 2019 is when the yield curve, the 10 and the 3, which has been the most prevalent indicator of recession, it went below zero. or it went negative. So so basically the long-term borrowing cost, or short-term borrowing cost, and the long-term borrowing cost, it basically met and it superseded. I mean, it's cheaper to borrow in 3 months than it was in 10 years. So yeah, problem. So anyway, I've been covering, just looking at the time that it inverts when it goes negative. But what was brought to my attention is that if we look at history for the last, since 1980, roughly 82-ish, it's not when the yield curve inverts, it's when it uninverts. And it goes from a problem that the Fed responds to, because every time the yield curve inverts, the Federal Reserve Bank, always then gets involved, and they begin lowering rates typically around that time frame, signaling that something's wrong. So if I had the interest rate chart on top of this, every bar that you see here, 2007, 8, 2000, and 91, 92 time frame, you would see that an interest rate cut took place just before or right at the same time that the yield curve inverted. And so that was a spark. That signaled to all the financial institutions, signaled to all the central banks around the world, signaled to all the money men, all the people that know what's going on. It signals to them that, hey, guys, we got a couple months now before this thing has some problems. And so here we are now. We just this past, let me zoom in. So this is current. So as of October 9th, 10th, as of October 9th, 10th, the yield curve went from negative to now it's like, So it's now positive now. Positive, what is it? Give or take, almost 0.08% positive. So that right there is the spark. And so now it's just a matter of how long before we experience the conditions that lead to what we label as a recession, which is market drops, market this, market that, more cuts. And then what's going to be different about this current uninversion is the fact that the Federal Reserve now realizes, I believe, that this is going to be the last hoorah for them without complete pandemonium. So I think by the repo markets and all that stuff happening now, it will buy them some time. And so I strongly believe that because of what's going on now, and the Federal Reserve knowing that this is not going to be a normal recession, they're going to prolong this thing. So the yield curve might end up going back up a little further. And if we were to measure history, so let's zoom back out and look at some things here. So here we got, let's look at the time frame from the last one. So the last time, let me see if I can zoom in. Let me see. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So here, let's look back at the last time there's an inversion. So this is the 07 inversion. So this is from 04 to the start of the recession. So if you guys can see this is when it was labeled a recession. So December 10th is when we went into the gray area. So yeah, November, December-ish, whatever. So that means, watch this. If November, December, just throwing out some ideas, if November, December of 07 was the moment that the recession began, when did everything begin unfolding primarily? It happened to be 08 through 09 time frame. So that was roughly a year. So basically, the recession happened, according to the statistics and the Bureau, whoever that reports this, in December of 07. So because we are now on an uninverted yield curve, I would be willing to say to you guys right now that November, December is the start. So that's the time, God forbid, it doesn't happen this way. I hope I'm wrong. But yeah, if we look back a year from now at the same time at a bar, December, November 2019 might be the start of the gray bar for the recession that we're entering into now. But you look at this. So just look at the first time it went negative. So here we got July 13th of 06 is the first time it went negative. This is the subprime crisis. And so it came out of the negative territory in May of that next year. So it was, so from July 21st to May 2007. So that's about 9 months, give or take. And so from that point on, it was from May up until December-ish before it, uninverted and went back up, and which is always a positive thing when it goes back up. But it so happens that because it dropped below and went negative, the Federal Reserve responded by dropping rates, causing more of probably some instability somehow, some way. And here we go, bam. And we all know what happened in this gray bar here. So just something to consider. Now, let's take it back a little further. Just trying to connect the dots a little bit. So here we have the 2000.com bust. And so let me zoom out a little bit. So here we have, it flirted with negative once in 98, once in 2000, and then it dropped significantly in July of 2000. And it stayed in negative territory from July all the way until January. July, August, September, October, November, December, January. So 7 months, 7 to 9 months. So the first one was about 8, 9 months, 6, 7 months. And then look at this. So from January 24th up until March was uninversion, back into normal territory somewhat. And then look at that. Bam, recession. And so this is all post. This is all updated after the fact. So it was 3 months recession hit. So just, playing with some trends here. And I'll do the very last one here. So let me go back here to 93 and see how that one played out. And this one, I was a baby, so I wasn't really like looking at that type of stuff. But so back in 89, 88, all the way down to May 18th, 1989 is when it went negative. It stayed down there from May until August, came back up, dropped back down. But it officially came out of negative territory in December. So from, once again, May to December, it flirted with negative territory. And then it was off to the inverted side of things, back in the positive territory. And then from January up until July, it was uninverted. And then, bam, recession hit. So, or July rather. And then we know what happened with .com and everything that happened there. So I was nowhere in tune to none of this. But, so... this is what we have. This is what's going on now, and we are currently uninverted. Therefore, looking at the subprime mortgage issue, the .com issue, and the, 93? I think this was the long-term capital situation led to that kind of stuff. So the Russian crisis and all that type of stuff was back in that time. But anyway, we see how things played out. So when it goes negative and then it's on the way up is when problems hit. So here's the question now I'm going to put out there. How long now before this thing really begins to become obvious? Because unlike all the other recessions that happened, the Fed wasn't in the repo market so actively to the tune of billions upon billions on a daily basis with no transparency whatsoever to the public. So nobody knows what they're buying, selling, who pays back. And I'm still trying to figure out, how do you lend out, $90 billion and get paid back $90 billion the next day? Like, what did you need to borrow for? That's one thing I haven't quite gotten to the depths of that yet. But that's what's going on. And I wanted to just share that with you guys. And a couple other articles here. Here's one. It says the yield curve recession indicator is righting itself, but that doesn't mean we're in the clear. And so I marked something here. So this is something from Jeff Gundlach, billionaire hedge fund guy. So this is what he says. It says, quote, "What people don't understand is that when the recession is getting to be close to your doorstep, the curve actually steepens out because the Fed gets the joke. Finally, that they're behind the curve and they need to cut interest rates more," unquote. Longtime fixed income investor and so-called bond king Jeffrey Gundlach. So basically, he's saying that the Federal Reserve always responds to market conditions because they're reactive, not proactive. So he was saying that the yield curve, the bond issue and the yield curve starts, then the Fed responds by cutting rates, and that's exactly what they're doing now. And according to this graph here, that's exactly what they've done throughout the year. So what would lead us to believe that anything's going to be different, and this current market activity by the Federal Reserve will put us in any better position whatsoever? So just something worthy of thinking about. But for those that are tuning in, I appreciate you watching. If you're enjoying this update on what's going on and how to assess the bond market, not that I'm like a bond expert or whatever, but I'm just a person that's curious and I like to read a lot and study up on things. If you're enjoying this thus far, don't be afraid to donate a thumbs up. And then for that sake right there, hold on 1 second. I got a little update. Hey there, sorry for this interruption, but I wanted to bring something to your attention. If you've been enjoying this live stream, why don't you partner with me and be a support to the channel via Patreon membership for just a minimum of $5 a month. All you have to do is scroll down beneath this video here, click the Patreon link, then consider donating as little as $5 a month towards the channel. A little bit of crumbs can go a long way, and I appreciate your support. Now, let's get back to this live stream. All right, just a little update. Anyway, so all support is appreciated for those that are interested in contributing to this work. I appreciate that. So let me get to the chat. If you want to give me a call, let me know. We're going to be on a couple more minutes, then we're going to dial back. Spirit King says, you borrow large amounts to short the stocks. If they go down, you buy them cheaper. I'm assuming that was a question or a thought. Yeah, so we're currently in an environment where debtors, those that are able and willing to take on more debt, and of course this is just my opinion, and know how to use that debt to your advantage, you win. The lower the interest rates go, the more debt you take on, and use that in the short term to flip script, do whatever it is you got to do. More than likely you'll be on the winning side of things if you are comfortable playing the game the way you play it. I mean, that's just for you. So that's for those that are interested in how to profit off of all this chaos. There's lots of people that's going to become richer because of that model. But yet your average person who's not all that savvy in the markets like that, don't day trade, whatnot, just, buy and hold type of guy. It's all about wealth preservation, in my opinion. So do whatever works best for you. But first of all, get wisdom. Ask God what you should do might be your best bet, because you're playing with your future. And I'm sure you would want to have the most solid advice possible. And that only comes through the Holy Spirit, I believe. So let's look at Alaska Prepper. It says, Michael, have you noticed that cryptos are now listed on the National Debt Clock page? No, I did not notice that. Let me check that out. Let me check that one out. That must be a new addition for sure, because I didn't see that the other day. Or maybe I didn't look for it. So let me see if I can find cryptos. Where's crypto? It'd probably be off to the bottom side. Living in poverty. We have 37 million citizens living in poverty. We have 17 million millionaires. The top 1% owns $55 trillion. Bottom 50% owns 1.7 trillion. That's a nice little gap there. We got 35,000 food stamp recipients. What else here? Let me see. Where's the cryptos at? Cryptos. I don't see cryptos at. Mortgage loan. Where's that at? Government employees. Where's the cryptos at? What portion? I don't see that. Dollar to citizen ratio. Man, they got whoever runs this has been doing a great job of putting these numbers together, because ultimately, if you just thumb through this, spend some time looking at these numbers, right or wrong to the T, who knows, but just seeing all this red, bottom right. Seeing all this red lets me know that gold, precious metals, energy, output, bottom right. If you can spend some time on this little graph here and this visual aid and put together these numbers, it's not too hard to tell people. Oh, let's say dollar to crypto ratio now. Dollar to crypto ratio now, 67.7 to 1. So how in the world do you get that? What does that mean? It says a total US M2 money supply divided by the total market capitalization of all cryptocurrencies. The source, that's from the Federal Reserve. Get out of town. Federal Reserve is keeping an eye on it. So yeah, if the Federal Reserve is charting the M2 to the current supply market cap of cryptos, I don't know. I don't really like how that feels. I don't like how that sounds. The Federal Reserve is tracking it. Oh, really? Okay. I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to leave that one alone. So, yeah, that's what it is. It says, hey, Mike, can you look up the article I sent you from Michael Snyder? Let me see here. I did have a chance to roll through that one, and that was, I think it was on, let me go to economic economic collapse. I actually reached out to Mike and tried to get him back on the show, but he said he's dealing with some has some family stuff going on, and he won't be able to come back on. And so the balance. Let me see here. It's not working. The economic collapse, perhaps. Here we go. The economiccollapse.com. Jeff, I appreciate the article. All right, here we go. So this is the article you're referring to. This is from Michael Snyder, former RTD guest, a couple years back. It says, goodbye, middle class. 50% of the American workers make less than $33,000 a year. And it goes through talking about, according to Social Security Administration, the median income for the United States is $32,000. In other words, 50% is $32,000. Let's be generous and round that up to $33,000. Of course, nobody can support a middle-class lifestyle for a family of four on $2,700 a month before taxes. Then he gets into some more percentiles. So, yeah, this is definitely, I said, Wisconsin lost another 42 dairy farms in July. Yeah, man, this is, interesting statistics there by Mr. Snyder. I'll put this in the chat if anybody wants to take a look at it. It says, Mike, when are you going to get Jim Rogers on? Good question. I thought about reaching out to Jim Rogers I think it was last week or so. I'll reach out to him and see if I can get him back on the show. Jim Willie, I have reached out to Jim. He hasn't emailed me back, so I'm not sure if he's gonna mess with me like that no more. But I definitely enjoy having him on. This is about the poverty belt. This is about the poverty belt, Mike. One of the best. It says, how does a right wing plan to solve that? Not sure. Yeah, I don't know. Like, regardless, to me, regardless of how the political side of things, it does, to me, it doesn't really matter which party is in office or not. They only have the same solutions. More of the same, more governments, more. Unfortunately, because the government the governments themselves, they don't bring value into existence. All they do is they live off taxation, and now in the U.S. they just borrow. So it's not even tax. They don't even have enough tax receipts to even pay off their current debt. So they're borrowing on top of that. Hence the idea of a deficit spending. So no matter what is suggested, all it's going to do is it's going to require more funding, more debt. So it's just a matter of how much more debt can they pile on before confidence and faith is lost. And I think we're a lot closer now than ever. And if we're not, because the Fed can buy us another year or two of whatever they're going to try to do, they're only going to make things worse. And so there's no win-win when democracy has basically been ran into the ground, in a nutshell. I had a call there. Give me a call back. I could get you on here. I apologize for that. And so, with that being the case, we're about to get ready to dial back. I appreciate the back and forth. The money collected by the state is re-injected to the economy, taking from the richer and feeding the poor. Okay. I mean, I'm all for that. You know, it's one of the things that I'm not a politician or a political figure. You want to tax the rich? Sure, tax the rich. But all that's going to do is equal higher costs on the other end of goods and services. So corporations are in business to make a profit. It's unfortunate that the profit tends to be a little bit excessive to the point where it creates the wealth disparity amongst the population from those in the 1% and the bottom tier. But at the end of the day, you tax the rich, they're going to find a way to make it up through some loophole. So no matter what, if they're people or entities that the world needs, people are still going to go to them, whether it's cheap or expensive, whether you tax them or not. They're just going to increase the cost of the goods or service. So that's just how it's going to go. So no matter what, it goes a lot deeper than just poverty itself. Man, why is this not answering? I'm trying to answer the phone, but for whatever reason, it's not answering. So I don't know what to do. Let me try this. I'm going to try to give you a call back to see if it works. And then we're going to dial back. So I'm going to try to call this person back and see if I can get something. Hello, caller. How you doing? What's your name? How you doing? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike. It's low blood pressure from Corpus Christi, Texas. How's it going?
I'm doing good, my man. I appreciate you. Had to call you back. What's on your mind tonight?
Look, I wanted to tell you, I don't know if we talked about this before, but it's the classic Hoover FDR setup. Mm-hmm. You got right now Elizabeth Warren giving little hints about she sent a letter to the Fed and you know, all this and that. And I think Trump's the fall guy. I think it's just a setup. The whole thing's a big show.
Yeah, I'm at that same point now because no, and that's the thing. Like whether it's Warren or Trump or Bernie, it doesn't matter. Like you know, just think about what they're suggesting, what their solutions are. It's nothing new. They're all the same or variations of it. It's more free stuff, too much debt. They're pointing the finger a lot at the problems, but the solutions are not real solutions to the overall problem. And the ultimate problem is the fact that this government is too big, it's too invasive, it has become the problem primarily. Not having true leadership has ruined the world for the most part. So, yeah. What else do you mind,
I don't know what to even. I don't even know what to do, Mike. I just, pray and stack silver. That's all I could do,
Yeah, man. Pray. Get wisdom. Wisdom will do you a lot better than precious metals will, man, at the end of the day. And so I want to actually, everybody have their own spiritual level, but I want to show you, I'm going to put on the screen something that I really just been meditating personally. And so here we have Proverbs, and it talks about wisdom. Just, from the book of Proverbs, written by Solomon. It says, "For wisdom is more precious than rubies, and nothing you desire can compare with her." And then it goes to talk about gold and silver, how wisdom is more valuable than the finest gold and the finest silver. So get wisdom, and you'll be better off. So when I hear stuff like that, man, it kind of puts things in perspective to me, because there's only so much you can do physically to prepare as far as stacking. But then, then what? Like you're going to need something else to stand on. And that's where I think from a spiritual standpoint, seeking God for wisdom will definitely it'll help you do better with that metal or whatever else the good Lord leads you to. So yeah, it's just me doing a little preaching tonight, man.
I think, Mike, the wisdom is what leads you to the gold and silver. Because without the wisdom, you would be like, well, what do I do? What do I do? And then you start thinking, and you start, concentrating, and like, oh, okay, well, gold and silver is going to protect me. I think that wisdom leads you to the metals, not the metals leads you to the wisdom.
That too. I can go with that one too, man.
Yeah, and like I don't know, you were talking about earlier about telling family and friends. Mm-hmm. Nobody listens, Mike.
Oh yeah.
Nobody listens. I have in my job, I have contact with hundreds of people. Mm-hmm. The only two people are two retired military officers. They're in their 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
That's the only two people that'll listen, and we talk about these things, mm-hmm. and that's about it.
Yeah, well, see, that's
nobody wants to hear it.
Yeah, and those gentlemen there, they've been through some things. They've seen some things, so they have first-hand experience living through some recessions, and I'm assuming all those recessions probably impacted their livelihood. So it's easier because they've gone through some things. But unfortunately, apart from the Great Recession, that was my most noticeable time frame of me being in tune with all this. But other than that, .com, I was oblivious. I was, still a baby there. So, but yeah, so experience does help. But unfortunately, the experience that people are going to get this upcoming market correction will be something they won't forget, unfortunately. But hopefully it's not too late for the ones that, are called to be awake before it happens or as it's happening. So, but hey, man, I appreciate you as always, low blood pressure.
All right, Mike. Have a great night. Thank you for having me on.
Yep, be good.
Okay, bye-bye.
All righty, man. That is it for this evening. It's been great hanging out as always. I enjoy the back and forth, and I enjoy having a chance to put together some stuff. Hopefully I wasn't too Hopefully I wasn't ranting too much, but it's one of them things where I get fired up and I just can't hold back. So other than that, thanks for hanging out with me. For those that are still hanging out, don't be afraid to give it a thumbs up. Definitely appreciate that. And as always, all the material you need, all the free resources, books, videos, all the educational stuff is there. The knowledge is plentiful. The internet is loaded with stuff that can give people a better insight as to what's going on. I got a call, so I got to take this call. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello, Michael?
Yes, how you doing?
Hey, thank you, man. I'm glad you took my phone call. It is Alaska Prepper.
Alaska Prepper. What's going on, my friend? How you doing? In Alaska? So you in Alaska? Are you in Alaska, Alaska Prepper?
Yes, I am in Alaska.
Okay. Is it cold there yet? Like winter type cold there, or is it still got a little fall going on?
No, it's still pretty nice. It's high 20s right now.
High 20s. Okay. That's
yeah,
good weather
nice
out there.
For us.
Yeah, I bet. What's on your mind tonight, my friend?
Hey, Michael, if you don't mind, I just wanted to go ahead and put out a quick message
Go ahead.
to your community because I think it's important.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, so for those that are listening and are willing to listen, this is where I stand. People need to stop looking to the left. They need to stop looking to the right. The government that we fall under has two wings and is controlled by one head. What you need to start thinking about now is to prepare yourself. Obviously, I'm Alaska Prepper. Wake up tomorrow, take inventory of the things that you need for your everyday life. Food, water, fuel, shelter, enough cash put aside to last you a couple of months of paying your basic bills in case we have a liquidity issue with the banks, and start stocking up. Yes, it's great to put away some of your wealth and precious metals, but there will come a time when precious metals will not do anything for you. Precious metals is for after the crisis, is for you to be able to get back on your feet and start over again, but you're going to need to be able to have some sustenance to get through the crisis. So imagine if you woke up tomorrow and a chicken was $75. It doesn't matter how much cash you have in your home. It's not going to last you. Yeah. So stock up your fridge, stock up your pantry, get at least a month or 2 or 6 months worth of supplies that you know you're going to need. Get toilet paper, get shampoo, get, toothpaste, get clothes, get things that you can mend your clothes with that you know you'll be able to survive for 6 months or at least a few months. Because what's coming, in my eyes, what's coming is going to be a liquidity problem, which will turn into a resource problem. And resources equals sustenance, rice, beans, proteins, all of those things. So I just wanted to put that message out so that people can stop concentrating on either the left or the right or Russia or China. There is absolutely nothing that we can do to stop what's coming. We have allowed, as a nation and as a world, we have allowed governments to become so strong that our votes do not count. We need to take responsibility for ourselves and make sure that we can survive whatever it is that may be coming. It may only last 2 weeks. It may last 6 months. I'm not sure if people remember, but back in 1907, they closed the banks for 6 months. It was a really, really bad deflationary period. Yeah. People back then, 95% of Americans back then farmed, so they have sustenance. Today, we live in a world and in a country that is the inverse of what it was back in the early 1900s. Yeah. Today, people think that meat grows in the supermarket. They don't know how to grow their own food. They don't know how to hunt. They don't know how to do all of these things that they knew how to do back then. So, for goodness sakes, stock up your pantries. Make sure you have enough food to last you a while. Make sure you have a few gallons of gasoline set aside for emergencies, and just stock up enough to where you're comfortable that you'll be able to provide for your family the things that they need to survive on a day-to-day basis for a given number of weeks, months, or even a year, whatever you're comfortable with doing. Then after that, if you still have any wealth left over, by all means, get silver. Because in my opinion, silver is going to be king, even more than gold. Yeah. And that's what I have to say, Michael. I know you were closing out, but I'm really appreciative that you took my call.
No problem, my friend. Alaska, I appreciate you, my friend. Keep doing what you do and keep spreading the word, my friend. I appreciate you for sharing that with us. So definitely words of wisdom right there, my friend. Thank you.
All right. Have a good night. And thank you very much for everything that you do as well.
My pleasure. My pleasure. All right. Have a good night.
All right. All right. God bless.
Yeah, man. So that's all she wrote, people. It's been great hanging out. So yeah, a lot of wisdom, man. A lot of wisdom. Get you wisdom, get understanding. Yeah, man. Get that word up in you. So that got me excited. Anyway, be blessed, be safe. I'll see you guys later. Peace. Hey there, sorry for this interruption, but I wanted to bring something to your attention. If you've been enjoying this live stream, why don't you partner with me and be a support to the channel via Patreon membership for just a minimum of $5 a month. All you have to do is scroll down beneath this video here, click the Patreon link, then consider donating as little as $5 a month toward the channel. A little bit of crumbs can go a long way, and I appreciate your support. Now, let's get back to this live stream.